am writing to you in reply to your letter, which you are intending to write to me in reply to my letter which I wrote to you. I am writing to you in reply to your letter which you are intending to write to me in reply to my letter which I wrote to you. I am writing to you in reply to your letter which you are intending to write to me in reply to my letter which I wrote to you. I am writing to you in reply to your letter which you are intending to write to me in reply to my letter which I wrote to you. 2. A certain violinist bought himself a magnet and was taking it home. house to the church, and the church burst down. 15. A lengthy investigation took place, but the cause of the fire could not be determined. 16. On the spot where the church had stood, they built a club. And on the club's opening day, a concert was arranged, at which performed the violinist who, 14 years before, had lost his coat. 17. And amid the audience, there sat the son of one of those hooligans who, 14 years before, had knocked the cap off this violinist. 18. After the concert, they traveled home in the same tram. But in the tram which was following theirs, the tram driver was that very conductor who had once sold the violinist's coat at the second-hand shop. 19. And so, there they are, traveling across the city in the late evening. In front are the violinist and the hooligan's son, and behind them, the tram driver and former conductor. They travel on and are not aware of what the connection is between them. And this they will never learn until their dying day.